But you fail.
Oh no! Is there anything I can do? Can I try again?
You know what? I'll ask you a question. If you answer this one right, I'll let you pass.
Okay, thank you.
All right, listen carefully.
All right.
There's an old man and there's a young kid at the light.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you hit first?
The old man, because the young kid has the whole life.
No. You hit the brakes.
The best part is she sounds like she's you doing an impression.
I'm on her side. The old guy lived his life. Let him go.
Oh my
Hit
god.
the old man. I don't know. Man, we're going old school tonight. Just the two of us.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, man. Nicholas Cavazos is a little under the weather. He had his birthday, and then the following day got 102 fever. But he looked pretty healthy in the trad roundtable I saw on 1 Peter 5 over there.
Can you believe that we weren't even invited to that?
Let's bring up the still shot of who was on that panel.
Okay, give me a second here. Oh, let's see here. First off, did they not learn from our trivia videos? They have too many people here.
So, okay, so that's one. All right. So, as we look at this panel, something suddenly hits me. It's like you would never be invited to something like this.
Well, first off, is any look Kennedy Hall or no, sorry, Cameron is the most casual one.
Yeah.
Then Kennedy's close, but the rest are all jackets.
Yeah. I wonder, like, look, Mike Lewis.
See, no, he's why we'll never get invited on that panel.
Mike, me and you have that in common. Neither of us will ever be invited on that panel. It's like I don't know if I'm like upset about that or like I think I kind of just accept that, right? It's kind of what we've made ourselves to be. Like we're kind of just.
Here's the thing, I know you apologize to me because you think you're the reason I'll never be on that panel. I'm the one who did drop a that's what she said joke on Meaning of Catholic Live.
Well, what's funny about this? All right, play the little clip of so during our Mass of the Ages review, if you guys remember, Daniel and Cameron were in the chat, and Rob and I made a suggestion during that stream. Give me some tips.
I think like a good like round table, because he's asking like who would want.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. What do you think would be a good round table?
I think that like somebody from generally every kind of angle. So as an example, like the Harrisons for like daily liturgical living, Matthew Pleasy for fasting stuff.
So it's basically us discussing during the Mass of the Ages review the idea of having a trad roundtable.
Notice how he suggested people. Yeah. They didn't make it on. But he
None
did.
Of the people, but the thing is, we got Nick on there.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little disappointed he didn't give us a shout out. I mean,
okay, but at the same time, you said you'd never want to actually be on it because it looks so boring.
The thing is, there's so much drama behind the scenes lately, so it's a little.
That's true. We're crypto settings. We couldn't be invited.
So you pointed out to me, like, well, you do all the time say like you're not a trad, but that's not because I'm not a trad. It's more because I just don't like the labels of things, and I kind of just want to get back to just saying I'm Catholic, right? Oh, by the way, if you guys have not seen our merch line, like this shirt. Look, wait, can you see the whole thing? Have you accepted Mary as your personal mother and intercessor? Rob's got his merch on. If you guys have not visited our merch store, I think we got the best merch line in the Catholic grift game.
And I did a little work behind the scenes, and I simplified the website. It's just shop.avoidingbabylon.com.
Yeah, guys, it's a great way to support the show. Help us out.
We got stuff for the ladies.
Look at that. It's pretty cool. Rambe was the catacomb.
I wore that one.
That's some inside show humor. So all right. So hit like, subscribe. We do this on locals after. I was gonna save all this talk that we're in.
You know what? Hold on. We do have to bring this up. How can you not like whiskey as a man?
It tastes like turpentine. Don't tell me you actually like it. Next time you tell me you actually enjoy smoking cigars. Knock it off. I love riling people up with silly stuff. So wait.
Oh yeah.
But you said trads don't wear t-shirts. That's what you
Oh, come on, Molly. You love graphic t-shirts. You say so all the time.
So all right, so that happened, and we honestly, I love everybody on that panel. I think they would be a little hesitant to be on the same show with a guy like me, possibly because of my Twitter. I'm a little rambunctious on there, guys. Please don't judge me by my Twitter, but
no, God might though.
Yeah. I'm a little worried about that actually. All right, so then you had the fallout at Meaning of Catholic,
yeah,
which is a sad thing because I think Tim Flanders intended Meaning of Catholic. I mean, he started it on his own and he did his own thing, and then he kind of drifted into allowing other people to do stuff on the channel, and including us. So Jeremiah had suggested our trivia show to Tim and said, hey, I can't even get excited to speak. Really? You're persona non grata at trad recovery.
You might be too trad at this point, Mike.
So so Tim intended that to be Jeremiah suggested to Tim that we bring the trivia show over there, and people seem to like it. And then I don't know.
And then Anthony killed it.
We started what's funny is if you play the 2-minute clip of Jeremiah that I sent you.
We're not saving this for locals, eh?
Yeah, you know what? Let's save that for locals. All right. Let's see. Yeah, we'll save that for locals.
I was just wondering because that's what you said.
That's a good idea. So all right. So Jeremiah winds up leaving Meaning of Catholic, but before he did, I left Meaning of Catholic. I mean, I dipped out of the Telegram, and it was just getting too much over there. It was like everything was just conflict, and I don't think Tim wanted that. I don't think Tim meant for that to ever be the case. And
I mean, I left a year ago after there started to be just so much slander and bad mouthing of other Catholics behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll get into this then. What this whole scenario made me realize is, it's difficult to try and appease everybody, right? And
it's impossible.
It's impossible. And I actually I owe Father Isaac an apology. So I must have said in a stream trying to explain to people how what we were trying to do is talk to everybody, right? And in that comment, I said, we've had everybody from Trent Horn to Father Isaac
open.
Wait, what'd you say?
Just keep the lanes of communication.
Right. That's what I was aiming to do. But by doing that, I kind of put Father Isaac as if he's some like radical on the fringe or something.
Because you said you didn't say what you said. What do you mean? You said something along the lines like, we'll talk to anyone, even.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I said, we'll have anybody on. We'll talk to Trent Horn. We'll talk to Father Isaac. And by saying that, I kind of like, it seemed like I'm putting Father Isaac on this periphery, like he's out there or something. Right. And the reality is, I think the guys on the periphery now are, it's getting to be where no matter what, we're going to be accused of being crypto sedes, right? And we're at a point in, I agree.
On the one hand, I'm a crypto sede from the one side, and from the other side, I'm someone who goes to the Novus Ordo and not a real trad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So I think even having Mike Lewis in here, like me and Mike speak to each other and stuff, but we're in two different worlds. Like, it's not, it's at the point where is this even the same religion? I mean, Father Isaac is just Catholic in my eyes. He is the same guy he always has been, and something happened in the church where it is going bananas, and somehow he ends up on the fringe, when it's really, it's a difficult conversation to have, because I don't think anybody in the trad sphere is on the like, if you believe what the church always taught, you're now seen as a crypto sete, as some kind of radical now, and I don't get the way forward. I don't know how the communications look. I watched what happened at Meaning of Catholic. It blew up, and it just can't continue on the way it was. I don't know if that's a temperament thing, because I see Jake Fowler is staying there, but there's the lines of communication almost can't continue, I think, and I don't know what that means.
It's like that scene from that recent Civil War movie where the guy in the stupid pink glasses, they could say we're just Americans, and he goes, well, what kind kind of Americans are you? It's almost that way with Catholicism now, and it has been for a while. The
factions are getting crazy, right? You have Kennedy Hall going at it with charismatics. What does it mean to be a trad now? I mean, what does it mean to just be Catholic now? I've never seen division like this in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was always, I think a lot of people, some people are willing to overlook a lot of stuff because for the sake of unity, but I don't know, man. It's getting to the point where I don't know how the conversation continues with Aaron, go Protestant.
Did you know he's actually a Protestant pastor?
Yeah.
I did not realize he was a pastor until Keith Nestor posted a sermon of his.
Yeah, he's the most Catholic Protestant pastor I've ever heard, though.
We'll get him yet.
Yeah, so Jeremiah kind of made me realize I don't know how this communication continues on. Like, I still do like to talk to guys that are more in the mainstream, but we seem to be drifting further and further apart. And I don't think guys like Father Isaac or like Father Maudsley or like any of the other guys that we love talking to are on some fringe thing. I think your average Catholic now is drifting away from whatever the heck this synodality thing is.
Well, even when you're being accused of going to Italy later this year with, I forget the language that was actually used in that message, but more or less a nutcase, right? It's like, it's just Patrick Coffin. Like,
he's just my friend.
I don't agree with him on the whole Benedict thing, and I know I don't agree with him on his position on the SSPX, but yeah, we enjoy talking to him. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, he doesn't believe anything that's like crazy. There's just things are crazy right now.
That's why I said, what does it mean to be Catholic now? It's such a strange thing, right? So if you think Francis is not the Pope, are you still a Catholic? If you think there's just all these things, because if you think Francis is 100% the Pope without any doubt at all, and you're like, Francis is the most base Pope ever, I wonder what you've been watching for the past decade, because I don't necessarily know the reality, but my position has always been I don't know.
Yes, Alberto, I do think you're Catholic.
I think you're Catholic, Alberto. My position has always been, I don't know. Like, if you're going to ask me what my position is on Francis, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. I'm very what's the word I would use? I'm very what do you call, not atheist, agnostic about it. Like, if you think it's not possible Francis is an anti-pope, I don't know what you've been watching the past 10 years. I don't know. I have no idea. So I don't make pronouncements. I don't know. So Jeremiah said, keep Anthony and Rob in your prayers. Schism kills like a succubus, draining the genuine joy and peace of the Lord from an increasingly calloused heart. Now, I have to be honest. I don't think our joy has been stolen. I don't think we have this increasingly calloused heart. I do see people on that side with that, though. And that's
100%. It is. Yeah.
Like,
Jeremiah is a prime example of that. He used to be fun to watch and listen to. And
so replacing those things with cheap tricks and bottom of the barrel commentary shrouded by claims is just a joke, but it is just a joke. I don't know what to tell you, but it isn't a joke or even remotely funny. It's an age-old guise to beguile tech-addicted monocle men into the dark waters of the sea outside of the bark of
First off, That commercial was hilarious. Second off,
Well,
I don't think you could come up with a better description for Jeremiah himself than tech addicted monocle man.
So he's not, I don't know if he's tech addicted. I mean, I am tech addicted, I'll admit that. But I'm not a monocle man because I just don't care. I just don't care.
He did get this right.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, 100% true.
Yeah, it's just the trad is a real who's who of the trads apparently. So but that's the other irony of it, right? So we may not be on that trad roundtable, but we do get a lot. Like our chat tends to be a trad roundtable a lot of the time. You know, it's a strange time in the church. That's all I know. And I don't know, man. I never want to make it like the guys on the trad side are the crazy ones because they're not. I mean, I think I have to just embrace the trad label because I don't know what is going on the other side. I don't know how unity continues. I don't know what I just think we have to get beyond this papacy to see what happens next. I don't know.
I think it's either going to be solved by a following papacy, whether it forces a schism one way or the other, or will be united by some sort of greater outside threat, you know, a secular government, something like that.
Well, bring up the Cardinal Seurat article because this is really it gets to the heart of it. So that's what we were going to talk about tonight. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on that long tangent. It's just there's just I don't know, man. It's getting bonkers out there, and I don't want to offend people I genuinely care about and actually want to have continued conversations with by having conversations with people who are in the main church. Like I don't want to segregate myself from the people I actually care about their opinion for the sake of unity, right? For just whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So many Catholic public officials are in the same category as U.S. president, and many Catholic hospitals and universities in America are Catholic in name only, the Cardinal observed. Cardinal Robert Seurat, prefect emeritus of the Congregation for Divine Worship, named President Joe Biden as a prominent example of a cafeteria Catholic who adopts the practical atheism of an anti-Christian secular culture that has taken root in the West and even entered the church. The comments came from his Cardinal Seurat at the Catholic University of America on Thursday during an event titled "An Evening with Cardinal Seurat." Okay,
Class A title there, guys. Just mwah.
Right. That's something
Come
we came
on.
up with. The Catholic Church's enduring answer to the practical atheism of our age. In it, the Cardinal lamented the rejection of God that has taken hold of much of the West, especially once Christian Europe. He said this rejection of God takes form not so much intellectual atheism, but a practical atheism by which modern man acts as if God does not exist or does not matter. Now, that's an interesting thing he says, because Rob and I have both spoken about how
that's how we were living.
That's right. So we left the sacraments, and I was never an atheist, but I lived as though God did not exist. Right.
Yeah. There's never a dogma that I would say I denied. I even believed that if I died at that time, I would probably go to hell. It was just easier. You know what I mean?
You're Adam hiding in the garden, right? Just pretending there is no God. But the main point is this practical atheism is rampant in the church, and we're at a point where the hierarchy does not care at all what God thinks about anything. When it comes to worship, when it comes to dogma, doctrine. So in that trad roundtable, they were discussing the liturgy itself and what would happen. You know, it was 3 years since Traditionis Custodes. Was it effective? And Nick Cavazos brought up we're all talking about the liturgy here. Pray for Nick. Nick's not feeling well. Oh yeah, I mentioned that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he brought up, he said, we're all talking about the liturgy here as if this whole argument is actually about liturgy, and it's not. It's actually about doctrine and dogma, where this new era in the church tends to just overlook anything doctrinal for the sake of unity, which I think we're guilty of doing on this show. So I kind of just felt the finger being pointed at me. Right? Is what we're doing some kind of practical atheism? It's not practical atheism what we're doing. I want Catholic unity, right? That's important to me. And what does it mean to be Catholic? I mean, if you look throughout any time in church history, it was always who's in communion with their bishop and the Pope. And it's getting to the point of such absurdity that I don't know how that works anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see. Does he say anything else in that article?
It lamented the noticeable loss of faith that has taken hold of many Catholics since the 1960s, denounced Biden as a self-identified Catholic president who is an example of what Cardinal Wilton Gregory recently described as a cafeteria Catholic. He calls universities, hospitals, politicians Catholics in name only, exchanging their faith for a cultural assimilation, which, I mean, that's really has always been the problem with Catholicism in America.
What, the involvement in politics?
No, just wanting to assimilate into the culture that was here.
Yeah, the Protestant American culture that was here. There's something about America itself where you do kind of just want to fit in. Like, we never ever had any plans of evangelizing America as Catholics from the church's perspective at all.
At least not after the Spanish, basically.
Right. Yeah. Do you agree with that? They will never extend the olive branch to the right, only to the left. So it's basically us going, okay, we'll extend the olive branch, but it seems like they are so quick to cut us off.
Who's he? I guess, what does he mean by they? Well, like, who's they?
Well, Joe likes to move the Overton window, right? So he wants the Overton window to shift so that we're not speaking on their terms. Like, he wants to set the conversation. And I think that's a good objective to have, because it seems like we're always on defense. From anybody on the right is on defense, always using the left's language, things like that. Yeah, so 100%. Mike Lewis today said that Benedict's biggest mistake of his papacy was Summorum Pontificum. And I said, okay, now, do you think if Summorum never came out, because he thinks the liturgy is what's dividing the church right now. And I said, if Summorum never came out, do you think there would be less resistance to Francis? I don't.
So in a weird way, I almost agree with him, but for the opposite reason. Summorum may have been the biggest mistake of his pontificate, because it did open up traditional Catholicism to the masses, right? Made it far more popular, far more common, which has led to the recent crackdown. But the mistake was that Benedict should have gone farther. And I don't mean he should have outlawed the Novus Ordo outright, right? I think Summorum should have been more strongly worded, like, not that, this is the mass of our fathers, and how does he put it?
He says what once was held. Once sacred will always be sacred.
Right. It should be more like what was once sacred is, like, this is what we need to move towards, not,
well, I mean,
this is what should be available.
It should have been more like quo primum, but I mean,
it should have been somewhere between the two.
Yeah, but I don't know if it would have made a difference. And the thing is, okay, so we have to really think about this. Let's see it from Mike's point of view here. Now, the Latin Mass did serve as a rallying point, right? It was Because even people that never went to the Latin Mass, you still have that resistance to Francis. You see people are very upset with what he's doing, but the Latin Mass, the availability of the Latin Mass gave people a place to go almost as a middle finger to what's going on in the church. It's like, oh yeah, well, we're going to go flock to this thing.
The thing is, I don't want to say that I don't think it was so much the liturgy itself, because I mean, the liturgy is, the Eucharist is the source and summit of our faith, and that in a sense it extends to the liturgy of the Mass too, of course. But I think what made it a point of unity for trads was just that it finally created a community where they could gather, even if it was only once a week or even once a month, in some cases. Before that, there was nothing more than what was online or in certain publications before the online world, stuff like that. So I think widening that availability just gave more community to trads where they could live as traditional Catholics.
He might have a point here, right? So I think it let the trad ideology spread more widely, but you're seeing it as an ideology, Mike. I just see it as the traditional Catholic faith. It's just Catholicism. And I think what happened was, look, you had Taylor Marshall and a bunch of other guys going, go to the Latin Mass, go to the Latin Mass. So it seemed like this rallying point that everybody was going to. But I think once people experienced it, it was like, wait a minute, this is the Catholicism that I was hearing about in those Scott Hahn talks, right? This is crazy that I never knew this existed, because even when Summorum came out, I didn't even know about the Latin Mass. It wasn't until McCarrick broke that I found out about it. McCarrick break, like I knew I had heard about it, but I didn't know what it was. And then once I had gone, it was like, oh, this is what Catholicism really is. So even when we're arguing with Protestants on Twitter, I'm not arguing this new version of Catholicism. I'm arguing this past version that almost doesn't exist anymore.
Because the new version just gives them ground.
It gives them ground, but it's just so wishy-washy and doesn't stand for anything. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, you'll bring up some point about even the church fathers and how even dogmas and doctrines, and they'll throw something Francis said that contradicts what seems to contradict Catholic dogma.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the conversation goes, man. We're in a tricky time. I feel like we haven't had one of these conversations in a while. Like we've just been ignoring all this stuff, and this stuff with Jeremiah came up, and it kind made me so Jeremiah made this point. He goes, did you guys just stop doing trivia because you just thought you had something to add to the conversation? He's like, did you pray about it? We do discerning over here. And it's like, I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. Yes. It was actually a very deep prayer experience that I had while I was away with my wife. It was a deep conversation I had with her, and I was
trust me, I got all the text messages and a couple phone calls.
And a couple of phone calls. It was I started explaining to my wife how the Spirit of God covered the earth.
We didn't get away from trivia to jump into
the commentary,
talking about Francis and the Vatican. Our first couple of episodes were about the Danielic mystery stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's why the switch was made.
And not just that, I saw all this fracturing happening. It was between me, my wife, and Rob. So there was this weird fracturing going on, and I was seeing guys breaking off into these things, and I was like, maybe I can calm the waters a little bit. And I would see people start saying things like, I saw people talking about Scott Hahn, saying bad things about Scott Hahn, and I saw them saying bad things about Father Mike Schmitz, and I was like, I still like those guys. Like, I don't like that. Like, what's going on? Like, our trad's going too crazy over here, And then Mike Lewis went crazy on Scott Hahn. Like, he was cut off and put into trad land. It's just so nuts where everything is going. I I don't know, man. I'm just venting here and I'm just spitballing off the top of my head. But yeah, adding our voice to the conversation was almost an attempt to calm the fires down a little bit and see, okay, maybe if we open up the conversation and show, we can talk to guys that are more on the trad side and guys that are more in the mainstream. Maybe we can unite the conservatives and trads. I think that was the attempt. And I think Tim Flanders was trying to do that too. He was trying to unite conservatives and trads. Right. So me saying, oh, we'll talk to Trent Horn and we'll talk to Father Isaac was not me saying Father Isaac is out there. It was me saying, like, I want to keep the conversation going by all those who believe the Orthodox Catholic faith. And I don't know where that line is drawn anymore. Aaron, you sicko. I know where Peter was started as he was like the antithesis of 1 Peter 5. Mike, you added more fuel to the fire than almost anybody in the field.
Like I'm not going to doubt your motives, Mike, because I obviously can't know that, but the results, they speak for themselves.
Yeah, well, I think that everybody just falls into their ideological camps, and plus people were awful to Mike, right? So if you're in Mike's position and people are making fun of you, saying awful things to you about your appearance, about all these, they're making personal attacks. I can understand his revulsion towards anybody that even resembles those people, but you're talking about online Catholicism. And online Catholicism,
no matter what side you're on, you're going to get those attacks from the other or from both.
Alberto and Mike Lewis in the same chat as well. I think it's the same thing with the charismatic stuff, right? If you had your conversion at Medjugorje, you'll always be a diehard Medjugorje person. You'll always, and you'll always have an attachment to the charismatic movement. And then guys that are coming up from the more traditional end are gonna view that as I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be wishy-washy about any of this stuff. I just don't know, man. I don't know.
You know what's a lot of the contention, a lot of the fire on both sides. I'm probably going to get hate for this. Seems to come from the young converts, whether it's the Pope splaining groypers on one, or your so-called young rad trads on the other. In that fire is understandable, right? They're somewhat new to the faith in some form or fashion, and the fire can be a good thing, but
they're also, look, that's why young converts coming in, they have a fire about them, right? So whatever side of the ideological fence they fall on, but there's something good about that, because it's not complacent Catholicism,
right?
There's something where these guys, like, they want to make their announcement of their arrival heard. They want to be heard. They're going to make their voices known in whatever this landscape is nowadays.
But like you said, it can be with whatever drove that conversion initially, can be what kind of causes a continuation of like a confirmation bias, what drives them further and further into that camp.
I think all of us do that, man.
We all do that, of course.
He's got a point here. I don't know what to do with the Groy for Ultramontanus. Too young and scared. Yeah, man, those guys.
It does seem like they are completely ignoring reality when they say things like Francis is the best pope in the last 400 years.
Well, I think Mike likes to hear that side of it.
I understand.
He gets afraid of the anti-Semitic stuff from his point of view, right?
Right.
I don't know, man. This is. I don't want to ever come off like I'm just trying not to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody intentionally. I just know I just want to practice my Catholic faith the way it was handed down to us. And I have this feeling like we have been robbed of our birthright. And everything going on in the church now, from synodality to the election of everybody Francis chose to bring up to, okay, so the last Novus Ordo I attended, he's right. Joe is 100% right about this.
It's your temperament, as we've discussed.
He's 100% right about this. I 100% right about this.
And whereas I generally don't like conflict unless I'm being super melancholic at the moment. Generally, I don't like conflict either. So that probably explains why we are the way we are as a show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's Tim Flanders too, right? Tim Flanders' temperament. Like, he just wants everybody to get along. Like, I just want everybody to get along, but I'm just starting to see it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So all right. So back to what I was going to say. The last Novus Ordo I went to, there's a guy who walks up with his 2-year-old in his arm.
I was going to ask you about what was it, because you sent me a text after, and I don't know if you want to say what that text said, but you sent me a text, and I was wondering what caused it.
It was just a guy walks up with a 2-year-old baby in his hands, puts his hand out like this, and the priest puts it in his hand, and he pops it in his mouth like he's popping an Advil. Then it just watching the way this whole thing happened, listening to the homily, and this is like a conservative Novus Ordo, and I was just horrified. And I only went because they had confession, and I wanted to go to confession, and I wound up sitting through it, and I didn't receive, and I'm saying to myself, I can't attend this mass without sinning in my heart. Like, I'm sinning in my heart. I'm judging everybody. I don't like. I've been better off staying home. I don't know what to do in that situation. There's
now, what if? And you don't have to answer this. You might not be able to answer it right now, but what if hypothetically the crackdown does come and a mass like that is your only option?
I'm going society. I'm being honest.
Okay, I suppose you have the society.
I have the society. I'm going society.
Okay. What if you didn't have that within even close to a reasonable driving distance?
I don't know.
Because like if the TLM, if diocesan TLMs do disappear,
yeah,
the society is an 8-hour round trip drive from
yeah. No, dude, I don't listen. I'm not. I don't know what to do, man. I'm just there's an Eastern liturgy. I am pretty lucky liturgy wise,
because the nearest Eastern liturgy is also an 8-hour round trip.
That's a good question. What would you attend, the Byzantine liturgy or a Novus Ordo? Because part of me thinks it's such a LARP for me to go east.
Well, what's more of a LARP? Like, I understand that, like, we're not Eastern Catholics, we're Latin Catholics, right? But at the same time, what's more of a LARP, to attend an apostolic liturgy or a liturgy made by committee in 1970? Like, I'm always going to attend an apostolic liturgy over the Novus Ordo. That's just going to be the way it goes. I just
part of me is alien. Oh man, you know what it is? After being exposed to the Latin Mass for as long as I have now, I don't know. Maybe if I went to a Byzantine liturgy for a period of time, I would feel more at home.
I think you would, maybe not the first couple of times, but after a while, you would actually see how it is in essence more similar to the TLM than the Novus Ordo ever could be.
You think so?
I think Dr. K does a great job in the Once and Future Roman Rite, showing that the essence of the TLM is very similar to the essence of the Byzantine and the Maronite and Melkite and other apostolic liturgies, and that the Novus Ordo is such a large departure from that.
Yeah, man, it doesn't feel Catholic. I'm just being honest. When I go to a Novus Ordo, it doesn't feel like a Catholic liturgy. It feels like I'm at a Protestant liturgy. I mean, legit. I think my wife was raised Missouri Synod Lutheran, and I think that liturgy is more Catholic than your typical Novus Ordo parish.
I've seen Methodist liturgies that are more
reverent towards.
I don't want to say reverent because there's, God's not actually
Yeah, it's
there.
like God's
so
not actually there,
but-
but yeah, aesthetically.
aesthetically more reverent than many Novus Ordos I've been to. Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, the people that say Reverend Novus Ordo, first off, I don't think they actually have a Reverend Novus Ordo. Like, I think they're so desensitized to irreverence that they don't even know what's irreverent anymore. And I really think that's what the Novus Ordo has done to the Catholic sensibilities. Like your Catholic sensibilities have been so desensitized from
That you say among in the Hail Mary.
yeah. they you think nothing of a woman lector. You think, and even if you have a parish that's like, okay, it's only altar boys and it's ad orientem, I don't know, man. I've only been to one of those, and it definitely felt, it at least felt Catholic, right? When you have it to the bells, like all the bells and whistles, and there's actual Gregorian chant. But bro, where is that? Like, where is that happening?
It is more at this point, anyways.
More rare than a traditional.
It is more rare
Mass.
than the TLMs, and I'm not saying that it's not becoming more common. But it is right now more rare than the Latin Mass.
I think you're right. I think it is. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I freaking Joe got me thinking now. I'm just trying to be a people pleaser. He's so right. I don't want to offend anybody. I'm just, you guys want my opinion. Some people are gonna be upset by it. It is what it is. It's just I don't know, man. I find myself having arguments with Protestants, and I'm arguing for a Catholicism that doesn't exist. And I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, to me, then that alternative comes, okay, so maybe Francis is an anti-pope, and that kind of explains a lot. Like, that kind, like, I don't know, but it kind of makes makes a little bit of sense.
It makes I don't know if I want to say it makes more sense, but it solves a lot of issues, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it creates more of an issue with the election of the next pope. Like, I don't know.
I'm just a layman. This is not for me to figure out.
Way above my pay grade, right?
I just need to get myself, my wife, and my kids to heaven.
So that's the main thing, right? You're just trying to be. So all these conversations that we're all having online, I mean, we're in a very weird time in history where we have the ability to have these conversations. But at the end of the day, I'm legit just trying to raise my children to be Catholic and to pass that faith on to them. And I tell them regularly, I don't care if I leave you nothing in this world. As long as I pass on the Catholic faith to you guys, I've done my job. It's the only thing I actually have to offer my kids, because I'm a construction worker who's barely affording to make ends meet. So I don't care about handing anything material on to them. I just care that they all pass that Catholic faith on to their children. I had another argument with my in-laws about, no, it was my dad. It was my dad. It wasn't even my in-laws. It was my dad. Because I said I wouldn't attend my daughter's weddings if they married a guy who wasn't Catholic.
You literally
can't. Oh, your kids are going to do whatever they want to do. I'm like, no, your kids do whatever they want to do. My kids aren't doing whatever they want to do. And I was like, all right, let me let this go. I don't want to. Let me let this go. Yeah, because it would have gotten heated. I was starting to get like into that mode of like, no, you were supposed to. Oh no, my son, I'm not worried about, Mrs. C. My son is he knows. My son is going to tell whoever he marries. I'm not as worried about my son, because my son will be the spiritual head of the home. I'm more worried about my daughters marrying a Catholic man so that he raises my grandchildren in the Catholic faith. That's what that is. That's not, my son understands he needs to be the spiritual head of his home. And my daughters, they know their dad won't go to their wedding if they meet a guy that's not Catholic.
You know what?
Everybody in my family gets so offended by things and it's boomers. So like my in-laws too, they get offended by that because it's almost like you're accusing them of something. Like they see it like you're saying, well, no, you did it wrong because you should have done this. But in reality, I think that whole generation kind of just assumed, because I don't think they churched. I don't think they were catechized, right? So then they just go on and they just hope for the best for their kids. And but I mean, the following generations aren't much better. I'm not even trying to knock boomers. I'm being a people pleaser again. But I think because so many generations in a row have not been catechized.
Crypto boomer. That might be worse than crypto sede.
Yeah, I'll take crypto sede over that any day. Yeah, I think over the past few generations, people took their kids to church less and less. And then even the people who were going to church were going for heaven insurance. They weren't actually like, I'm surprised you got such a great catechism growing up because your parents weren't that much, right?
Mm-mm.
But they put you in the right programs.
My grandparents were. But the church, our parish, like I said, it was an old school indult TLM diocesan Novus Ordo parish. We were on the Novus Ordo side and hardly knew anything about the TLM side. But the priest,
so there wasn't any mutual enrichment.
There's mutual hatred. I'll tell you that. Largely from the Novus Ordo to the TLM. But the priest that we had to also say the TLM. So we always had a traditionally minded priest that guided the Novus Ordo side of the parish well too. So there was also 2 old school nuns that would threaten you with their canes. So it was just a well-led parish that did a good job of catechesis.
Yeah. That's pretty good. Now my mom did the best she could catechizing us. Like she instilled a lot of, I always knew don't receive without going to confession if you missed mass. I knew Jesus was truly present in the Eucharist, but she didn't catechize me well enough to know there's like a huge difference in Protestant and Catholic and stuff like that. So when I first converted, I was listening to Protestant radio, and it wasn't until I heard anti-Catholic propaganda in that Protestant radio that I was like, wait a minute, this isn't right.
I was telling elementary school friends when I was in elementary school who were Protestant that they were going to go to hell if they weren't Catholic.
So I had a neighbor up the block that told me I was going to hell because I was Catholic. Protestant kid that grew up on the corner, and his mom was like virulently anti-Catholic, and she told her kids, Catholics are going to hell. So we were playing manhunt one day, and he's like, "You're going to hell. You're Catholic." And I remember going home and telling my mom, and he said I was going to hell. Rob was always Rob for sure. I remember telling my mom, Pete said I'm going to hell because I'm Catholic, and she was just like, "Oh, they're just, don't listen to that." Like, but she didn't like explain to me, no, there's a difference in Catholic and Protestant. And she didn't know though. It's not like she didn't teach me because she was withholding it. She just didn't know. I mean, she was, she was going on.
Yeah.
She was involved in the charismatic renewal, so there's probably a lot of Pentecostals around and stuff. I used to leave chick tracks around campus in college. I repent. Yeah, I don't know, man. We're in some strange times. We have all right. So what do you think you'll do? Well, you're pretty set in your draw. So your closest TLM is a diocesan, right? That's Michael Matt's parish and stuff.
No, not Michael Matt's.
Was that FSSP?
That's Michael Matt's parish is my home parish down in 8-hour round trip drive.
Oh, okay.
The parish I grew up in. Our nearest TLM is a diocesan TLM. It's a 4-hour round trip drive.
4 hours round trip isn't that.
No, we make it as often.
It's doable. Yeah,
we make it as often as we can.
It's doable. It stinks because it's your entire day.
Yeah, in the winter, we don't make it near as often because the roads are often bad between here and there. But we make it as often as we can.
See, for me, it's the opposite. because we always have stuff going on in the summer, and it's hard for me to just stick mass at, because it's always at an awkward time. It's never like an early mass. It's like right in the middle of the day, and it's
our TLM's
okay.
at 1 p.m. So we have to leave by like 10:30. We won't get home until, if we leave right after mass, we're not going to get home until 5, which you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I'm not, I don't want to make it seem like that's the end of the world, because it's not, but there are times it's just not doable.
It's just crazy, because it should be up the block.
Mm-hmm.
It's absurd that Catholics are put in a position where they have to drive 2 hours to go to a liturgy that isn't going to damage the faith of their children.
Yeah.
And that's where we are as Catholics in 2024. Now, do you think so? All right, I've had this argument with Joe Boca. He thinks Summorum Pontificum was a bad thing because Joe's a society guy. Like, Joe is just Nick Cavazos. So I think Cavazos deep down wants a further restriction of it, because he wants there's almost this.
It would be clarifying.
But that's what I mean, right? So there's almost this pretense that things are okay, because as long as I can catch my diocesan TLM, I can ignore the reality of what's going on in the church.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lived that way. I have lived that way. It's like, okay, I love my diocesan TLM. I go there, I raise my family Catholic. I could kind of ignore what's going on in Rome as long as I have a good mass to go to. It's a really good parish. I love everybody there. So I can kind of ignore the doctrinal issues that are happening in the church and just live as a Catholic. Now, if they take that away, I'm going to be put in a position where it's, okay, what's going on here? Right? And that's the position Lefebvre was in when he sees a Buddha statue on the altar.
Yeah.
So Joe says
It's a schizophrenic
Summorum was a schizophrenic document, but I say it was a good thing regardless, Joe, because it exposed so many people to tradition, right? So that's
I would argue that there were probably a fair number of souls saved because of it, right? And even if,
for sure,
even if it doesn't, even if it,
I gotta say, Mike Lewis
we're not
is right.
utilitarian, so.
From Mike's point of view, Summorum Pontificum is the worst thing that ever happened under Benedict, because it exposed so many people to tradition and it put this stark contrast. Dude, think about the Pope-splaining that was going on early on in this pontificate.
Yeah.
I'm a new convert. I was confirmed this last Easter. Never been to a TLM, but I attend the Reverend Novus Ordo ad Orientem Communion Rails High Altar Incense, most receive on the tongue, etc. That's you are. So you are in such a rare circumstance that you should praise God for that, because it's for the most part, it is a liturgical wasteland out there.
Mm-hmm.
So many people were exposed to the Latin Mass and to tradition through Summorum Pontificum that I think this ban that's coming, there's going to be a lot of resistance. Now, this rumor that's out there, this rumor popped up last year.
Yeah, but there's one big difference between the rumor then and the rumor now.
What's that?
The rumor now is a few months away from the end of all the end of all the permissions that were given out. Like our diocesan TLM was given permission.
That's right. Yeah, so they all got these extensions
until October
right?
2024. Right?
So
the end of all those is within 3, 4, 5 months.
So all of you that got your extension, right? So what they did was they condensed. If you had 4 Latin masses in your diocese, they got condensed down to 2, and they got an indult to go for an extra year.
Right.
Those are all going to come to an end, and they're going to squash those.
So I think that's why when the rumor came out last year, it didn't make a lot of sense, because all these parishes, the Vatican gave them something in writing saying you have until fall of 2024. But now that's only a few months away. So
to reintegrate all your traditional parishes back into the Novus Ordo.
Yeah.
All right, so that's different. But I don't know. I think I think the harder that document comes down, the higher the chances of schism. But I think schism's coming either way. I mean, I've said it a bunch of times on the show. I think the next pope equals schism, no matter what. I don't see how it doesn't.
I think you're going to see it in every facet of civilization in Europe and the West. You know, whether it's a schism in the church, whether it's civil violence and strife, you know, whether it's large scale war between nation states. I think we are literally seeing civilization crumble before our eyes.
Oh man, I think you're right. I think all of that, like, if you guys don't feel us heading towards the crescendo of a story, right? We're heading towards the turning point in a story that's all coming to a head. I mean, you have this November, you have the synod wrapping up, you have the election wrapping up, you have Advent in Italy with me and Patrick Coffin. You have
everyone saying this is a Black Pill episode. Here's the thing, though. I don't think that's necessarily a bad, like, it's a bad thing, but I think it is what needs to happen before we can resurrect Christendom.
Yeah, I think it all has to come down, right? It all has to come down. But look, you have to see it in the first century, when after the ascension and Christianity starts to spread. Christianity can't actually spread until the Roman Empire comes down. So in order for the rebirth of Christendom, it's going to have the civil society come down also. It's going to be the collapse of the church and society.
You wouldn't have had the baptisms of Clovis and all these other, pagan kings without them having to fill the void of the Roman Empire.
Yeah. So now what the rebirth of Christianity looks like, we talked about this a little bit when we dissected Russell Brand's conversation. It's not going to look like Christendom looked the first time it comes around.
No, just the way second Christendom didn't look the same as first.
Yeah, it's going to have elements of what we have now. Like, you'll have elements of the technology surviving. It's going to be wild, man. The next couple of years are going to be wild. I hope everybody's prepared for for crap to hit the fan, because it's going to happen. You just see there's so much tension in the air with everything. It's weird though, because you see it online, right? You see it in the conversations that everybody's having in the media, but then you go and walk on the street and I don't see much of that tension. I mean, I do work in the city, and it does get kind of wild in the city sometimes, but for the most part, since COVID died down, families are starting to talk about, but they did. I bet a lot of families that broke up during COVID still haven't healed and things like that. I think the whole thing's coming down soon.
Which is our society? Does our society not deserve it? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think a lot of
it's going to be rough. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But
I think like where my mind has changed on this, though, yeah, it's going to hurt. But I think a couple of years ago, I thought like the return of Christ was imminent, and now I don't think that. Now I don't think that
either.
No, I don't think we're in the end times like that. I think we're at the end of
one of like the of Holhauser's ages or something like that.
Well, I just think we're at the end of.
We're at the end of the secular rest. Like,
yeah, like
the fact that we even call it the West. I was listening to one of Raymond Ibrahim's books, Sword and Scimitar, and he was saying how even the fact that we call it the West shows that Christendom has fallen, because it was just Christendom, and now the West is just the secular corpse of Christendom that still remains.
Yeah, so after the Reformation ended Christendom. I mean, you had second Christendom pop up in South America.
The Enlightenment ended Christendom. Yeah.
Yeah, but the Enlightenment comes out of the Reformation and stuff, right? So the whole idea of the secular and the religious working in tandem together kind of gets broken up. Then you get the separation of church and state, but Christendom was such a powerful idea and the like the ideology that really rested into the hearts of Christendom lasted for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
We still had that Christian ethos in our heart. People have to, I mean, that's why I loved Tom Holland's book so much, because I realized how different the world was before Christendom, right? And now people today take for granted these ideas of the downtrodden is to be held up, look out for the victims. And we now live in a world where the victim is held up, but all of that comes from the crucifixion, right? The slave being crucified. That's
even though so much of the Enlightenment and secularism in the West is anti-Christic, it's like you said, it couldn't exist in a non-Christian world, because a non-Christian world wouldn't allow it,
right?
And I'm not saying we should allow it. I'm just saying it could only have started out of the remnants of Christendom.
Absolutely. The idea of a culture not having a god, I say a god because like every culture had gods, the idea of having a culture that's not, its foundation is not on a specific religion or a specific god, is only something that could have come from Christianity, because it civilized people so much that it's like, oh, we could be good without God. Like, it just put that into people so much. We're all just swimming in these post-Christian waters, and we just take for granted that, people are good. I'm telling you, when society collapses, you're going to see roaming bands of marauders. You're going to see savagery on a level that you haven't seen since the days of the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
The collapse since the days of the barbarians coming in, the barbarian hordes. That's why I mean, we do talk about it from time to time, but the idea of Our Lady of Akita saying the living will envy the dead scares the living crap out of me, because if things are so bad that you envy the dead, I mean, you guys really have to grasp how scary of a thing that is.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the 1 hour mark. I'm sorry, guys. It's a little bit of a downer show. Oh man. What do we got? We got
what else we got?
Almost 300 in the YouTube chat. Yeah, so all right, we're gonna go over to locals and maybe we'll dive in. Oh, are you okay, honey? No, all right, I'll be up in a few minutes to talk to you. Oh, my daughter's upset about something.
No, we can cut it early. We can go.
We'll do like 15 minutes on locals. We'll play a couple of those Jeremiah clips because we got to dive into specifics of things that he said.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to get into some of the specifics of what he said. But then I have to go console my daughter. She's very upset about something, so we can't stay too long. But yeah, guys, if you're not subscribed on locals, or if you haven't bought one of if you accepted Mary as your personal mother and intercessor shirts, please go and support the show.
Or at the very least, piss off the Protestants.
It's a great troll, man. I got bumper stickers coming. I'm putting them on my boat. I'm ready to go.
Oh my gosh.
Ignore your daughter. You're sick.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go over to locals, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry if I offended anybody. I'm a people pleaser.
Oh, shut up.
Joe Boca got me right.